This Russian armored vehicle presses forward tactically blind to the Ukrainian tank waiting directly beside it. The tactical error is fatal, neutralized by the Ukrainian tank's gun. Elsewhere, another Russian crew fires on our positions until the unexpected occurs. A buried landmine takes it out. Since the invasion began, Ukrainian defenders have demonstrated formidable tactical resistance against Russia's vastly superior armored columns. Specifically, the deployment of cheap, highly lethal FPV drones has fundamentally rewritten the rules of modern peer-to-peer combat. Modern Russian tanks, costing up to $5 million each, are routinely neutralized by cheap, off-the-shelf drones costing only a few $1,000s. This asymmetric shift has forced a massive change in Russian doctrine. Moving in large armored convoys is now a tactical impossibility. Supply routes are no longer just mined, they are now hunted by silent airborne killers. FPV assets have transitioned from reconnaissance platforms into primary strike weapons. Ukraine has mastered this new style of dynamic warfare. As a result, Russian armor remains highly vulnerable to Ukraine's multi-layered asymmetric offensive capabilities. In this briefing, you and I will analyze how this transformation plays out on the battlefield. First, we observe a Ukrainian Leopard 1, a 5-tank leveling buildings harboring Russian infantry. Then we will analyze a rare operational event, a full-scale Russian convoy assault launched after an extended tactical pause. After months of static defense, the enemy accepts high tactical risk attempting an armored push forward. On June 17, 2026, a critical engagement unfolded in the Donetsk village of Komar. A Leopard main battle tank from the Ukrainian 5th Tank Battalion launched a direct fire mission against buildings harboring enemy infantry. Tactical feeds show the crew systematically targeting enemy combatants entrenched within civilian structures. Beaten in recent engagements, retreating Russian forces frequently seek refuge in these small abandoned settlements. Rather than conducting a full retreat, enemy infantry attempt to evade Ukrainian aerial surveillance by hiding inside residential structures. Their objective is passive survival, hoping for extraction or reinforcements without engaging in direct combat. But doctrinally, this is a dead end. Command routinely fails to coordinate extraction or send reinforcement echelons to isolated units. Observe the sequence here with me. Ukrainian intelligence elements detected this troop rotation in Komar, pinpointing the enemy's exact grid coordinates. A Leopard 1A5 tank was immediately deployed to execute the fire mission. The main battle tank unleashed sustained direct fire, quickly collapsing the structures and neutralizing the enemy positions inside. High explosive impacts and precise gunnery effectively erased these defensive strongpoints from the tactical map. While post-strike battle damage assessment is obscured on the feed, ground intelligence confirms that all enemy elements hiding in the structure were neutralized. This engagement highlights the critical synergy between real-time reconnaissance and rapid execution, proving the Leopard 1A5 remains highly lethal. On June 19th, the 36th Marine Brigade of Ukraine executed a masterclass defensive operation near Kostiantynivka, holding a highly contested sector in Donetsk. Early warning surveillance assets successfully intercepted the advance of an enemy armored column heading toward the sector. The enemy sought to penetrate weak points along the defensive perimeter, aiming to rupture defenses and sever critical supply routes. Instead, the advancing armor wandered directly into pre-registered Ukrainian artillery kill zones. Concentrated rapid-fire barrages achieved immediate results, destroying 3 Russian armored hulls on the spot. The secondary detonations were catastrophic, rendering the combat vehicles completely unsalvageable, leaving behind a burning graveyard of steel. Yet the tactical engagement was far from over. Shortly after, a second enemy armored column attempted to flank from another direction, but defensive systems flagged them immediately. The 36th Brigade reacted instantly to this flanking threat. Re-engaging the targets, Ukrainian gunners resumed fire. Precision impacts triggered widespread panic among the enemy crews. Though the vehicles attempted evasive maneuvers and tried to reform, our concentrated defensive fire completely neutralized this second enemy armor element. Despite successive tactical failures, enemy command refused to abort, deploying a fresh column of 4 armored hulls directly into our engagement zone. These crews attempted chaotic defensive maneuvers, desperately trying to disrupt our target acquisition based on previous losses. But evasion means nothing against highly coordinated fire control. Ukrainian artillery locked on, instantly nullifying their tactics. Precision fire hit the coordinates on time, severely rattling the crews before direct impact. Under our relentless bombardment, panicking enemy infantry abandoned their armored transports, scattering on foot across open ground. This tactical shift forced an immediate adjustment in our targeting priorities. To deny surviving infantry any mobile assets for a future rally, we prioritized the total destruction of the hulls. Every target was completely demobilized. This maximized enemy material attrition and stripped them of all tactical mobility in this sector. In the Donetsk sector, the 54th Mechanized Brigade is conducting a textbook containment operation against an isolated enemy infantry squad. While combat intensity here fluctuates, the front is never quiet. Small enemy fire teams keep trying to filter through the wood lines, but this group stepped directly into our integrated surveillance and strike network. The engagement begins with continuous aerial reconnaissance patrolling the sector. Our operators quickly locate a small enemy squad moving exposed across the fields. Total tactical complacency. The feed shows them marching in the open, completely oblivious to our drone tracking them from above. Our operators hold fire to observe. We map their numbers and vector of march. Suddenly spotting the bird, the enemy panics and unleashes uncoordinated small arms fire. A lucky burst of ground fire connects, bringing down our primary aerial reconnaissance asset. But one downed drone is just operational friction. The real strike phase is about to begin. Within minutes, a fresh FPV strike asset is airborne and hunting. The pilot closes the distance rapidly, but a sudden steering error causes the drone to detonate harmlessly in the dirt. The enemy catches a break and presses on, but our drone pilots are patient professionals. They continue tracking, maintaining visual lock. Then the third bird swoops in flying low to bypass detection before launching a devastating ambush strike. A direct impact instantly neutralizes one target, shattering the remaining squad's combat morale. The survivors scramble for cover in nearby ruins, but they are trapped. From here, our tactical superiority is absolute. We pin them in the ruins, systematically targeting not just their personnel, but their heavy weaponry and support gear. One strike asset detonates directly on their stockpile, detonating their reserve ammunition in a violent chain reaction. Only a fraction of the enemy force remains combat effective. Our operator monitors their final positions, vectoring in another FPV killer to finish the job. As the bird hovers near the entrance, an enemy soldier rushes out, firing wildly. The resilient drone absorbs the hits, landing quietly at his feet. Driven by sheer panic, the soldier actually moves in, attempting to pick up the armed device. Our operator triggers the charge. The resulting blast neutralizes the threat instantly. The remaining hostile elements are systematically hunted down and neutralized. June 18, 2025. Our 13th Brigade of the National Guard executed a flawless defensive ambush northeast of Kharkiv, inflicting massive enemy casualties, countering a sudden spike in local enemy offensive operations on this strategic line. Our units launched a violent counteroffensive, severely tightening our defensive grip on this sector. Our forward ISR assets and thermal surveillance arrays picked up hostile infantry units massing in the immediate vicinity. They were dug into trenches and natural defilades, but we deployed FPV strike drones to bypass their overhead cover. Digital telemetry confirms our pilots guided these assets with pinpoint accuracy, scoring direct hits on every target. Our opening fire salvos successfully degraded their frontline combat strength, neutralizing dozens of hostile troops. Maintaining tactical pressure, our reconnaissance elements quickly mapped out the enemy's fortified underground bunkers. High explosive payloads systematically caved in these underground positions, completely neutralizing the structures. Our tactical assessment was clear. By integrating advanced target acquisition with precise Ukrainian drone strikes, we watched Russian elements rapidly lose their cover and defensive viability. Throughout the operation, our staff maintained strict surveillance and interdiction over nearby supply routes. This chokehold severely crippled Russian logistical efforts. Enemy convoys carrying critical ammo and fuel, and reinforcements were instantly turned back or decimated by our coordinated strikes. In my analysis, this asymmetric strategy squeezed the front line while simultaneously dismantling the Russian army's sustainment capabilities. According to our command data, at the close of the operation, we confirmed the destruction of 1 Russian tank, 8 vehicles, 12 artillery systems, and 21 radar units. For a short-duration operation, this tactical yield is highly significant. More importantly, it fortified our defensive posture on the Kharkiv front while shattering Russian combat morale. On June 18, 2025, during a recon operation near Turret, a critical sector in the Donetsk region, our teams recorded a pivotal engagement. Our scouts were executing a methodical clearance operation designed to neutralize Russian positions and freeze their forward momentum. Right then, our optics picked up a shadow flitting through the tree line, a lone Russian soldier leaving his trench to reposition. He was completely blind to the fact that our crosshairs were already locked onto him. Despite his low-profile movement, a slight rustle in the foliage exposed his exact coordinate to us. Analyzing the threat in a fraction of a second, our squad acted instantly. Bypassing the need for a formal order, tactical instincts took over as they engaged the target immediately. The echoing gunshots through the dense canopy signaled the commencement of a brief, lethal firefight. From the very first burst, the target was neutralized. Our drone pilots from the 38th Marine Brigade executed a textbook surveillance sweep near the village of Popovar, situated deep in eastern Donetsk Oblast. an area we have observed peaking in combat intensity recently. The terrain here, a complex mix of thick woods, open sectors, and high ridges, holds vital operational value for both warring forces. It sits squarely in the northeastern sector of Donetsk. Papavyar functions as a choke point for supply lines, dictating the overall depth of defensive postures. During our routine aerial patrols, our operators picked up anomalous movements. Just outside Poppy, we spotted masked Russian infantry moving under the screen of armored combat vehicles. Utilizing state-of-the-art thermal imaging and high-resolution optics, we mapped hidden bunkers and camouflage dugouts, feeding their exact grids to our tactical command center in real time. We authorized immediate fire missions against these freshly acquired targets. First, our FPV attack drones scrambled, striking Russian fighting holes with surgical precision. We targeted not just personnel, but systematically severed their field communications and blew their forward ammunition caches. A heavily masked armored asset took a direct hit and was completely destroyed. For Phase 2, we cleared the 38th Marine Brigade artillery for active bombardment. Exploiting live target data from our drones, the big guns flattened fortified Russian trenches hidden deep in the forest. Thanks to this devastating barrage, the adversary's localized tactical advantage was entirely erased. Our aerial feeds captured panic-stricken enemy troops, breaking cover, turning themselves into easy targets in the open. We capitalized on this chaos to sweep the zone, advancing our defensive perimeter past Poppy on June 18, 2025. During a high-risk scouting run near Orlivka inside the Donetsk sector, our 150th Brigade successfully pinpointed a cluster of high-value Russian air defense assets. These batteries pose an unacceptable threat to our airspace, threatening any of our close air support missions near the forward line. Neutralizing these targets immediately became our top operational priority. The initial threat we cataloged was a Soviet-era short-range OSA air defense unit. Our observers visually confirmed the unit was fully powered up and actively radiating. The moment we locked down those target coordinates, our artillery batteries answered the call. We fed the telemetry directly to forward batteries, unleashing a volley of precision-guided strikes. A direct hit completely pulverized the OSA unit, leaving nothing but burning scrap in its wake. But in war, the grid is never clear. Our sensors soon picked up a Strela 10 system lurking in the adjacent sector. Though strictly short range, its mobility posed a lethal threat to our low-altitude reconnaissance assets. Our scout teams shadowed the target quietly, feeding its exact location back to command. The follow-up strike hit home with absolute surgical precision, completely neutralizing that second Strela 10 system. Throughout this entire campaign, we have engaged the enemy air defense network using asymmetric and highly adaptive tactics. Initially, high-tier threat systems like the S-300 and S-400 choked our airspace. Yet, as we secured vital intel and equipment, backed by advanced Western military hardware, we formulated a counter-strategy to break their dominant dome. Our command executed a deeply layered doctrine to systematically dismantle their defensive umbrella. This integrated approach paired heavy conventional artillery barrages with smart precision-guided munitions. Our HIMARS batteries proved absolutely vital, delivering devastating strikes directly onto their key radar nodes and launcher platforms with extreme reliability. Furthermore, our tactical FPV drone units completely reshaped the frontline dynamic. We deployed these cheap, mass-produced assets to hunt and kill active radars and forward air defense systems right at the edge of the battle. Another critical pillar of our suppression strategy relied heavily on electronic warfare dominance. With Allied technical support, we effectively blinded their radar grids, severely degrading their capability to track our aerial operations. Consequently, during our air operations, enemy batteries either froze completely or wasted salvos on decoy signatures, rendering them useless.